Hello, welcome back to the next chapter in the Narconon and Scientology Chronicles. This is Lucas Catton. And for this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about a policy that every Scientologist has to read over and over and over again in lots of different courses that they do and lots of different times where they're ordered to study and read different things. And it's called Keeping Scientology Working Series 1, or KSW1. It's okay. I'll just get into it. So, what it is this was L. Ron Hubbard writing down, kind of like laying down the law, saying, "I am the only one who is in charge here. Everything I say is the only thing that matters. Nobody else's input matters. I discovered this. Do what I say." That's pretty much the gist of it, and it's a long lot of words saying just that. And I'll give you a couple quotes from here, and I'm going to give you a couple examples of how he then, how Scientology then contradicts itself based on this policy. There's a ton of ways, but this is a couple of them. So here I'll pull out a couple quotes from KSW 1, Keeping Scientology Working Series 1, and it's called Hubbard Communications Office Policy Letter of 7 February 1965. And I pulled out a few quotes, so I'm not reading from the entire thing, just some points here so you can get the gist, because look, it's a ton of words. I'm going to skip all the extra crap, but it says, "Our technology has not been discovered by a group." Later on, "We are dealing only in facts, and the above is a fact. The group left to its own devices would not have evolved Scientology, but with wild dramatizations of the bank, called New Ideas, would have wiped it out. Supporting this is the fact that man has never before evolved workable mental technology, and emphasizing it is the vicious technology he did evolve. Psychiatry, psychology, surgery, shock treatment, whips, duress, punishment, etc. ad infinitum." So he's saying that he is the only person in billions of people on the planet who has developed anything that is a workable mental technology. That's how delusional this guy was. Oh, geez. When somebody enrolls, consider he or she has joined up for the duration of the universe. Never permit an open-minded approach. So when you're in, you're in. That's why when you see like Tom Cruise, being so certain that, it's all or nothing. It's pedal to the metal, So later on he says, "The proper instruction attitude is, you're here, so you're a Scientologist. Now we're going to make you into an expert auditor no matter what happens. We'd rather have you dead than incapable." And if you think he's joking at all, he's really not. Scientologists don't care. I think Mike Rinder shared some stuff earlier where there was a Scientologist who shared a win in her success story about how people she considered enemies or anti-Scientologists had either died or had some terrible things happen to them. And she was so happy about that. And, here's a perfect example. We'd rather have you dead than incapable. And only Scientologists are capable in their mind, according to this. Later on, he says, "We're not playing some minor game in Scientology. It isn't cute or something to do for lack of something better. The whole agonized future of this planet, every man, woman, and child on it, and your own destiny for the next endless trillions of years depend on what you do here and now with and in Scientology. This is a deadly serious activity, and if we miss getting out of the trap now, we may never again have another chance." This guy, wow. He took himself really seriously, and Scientologists take him really seriously. And that's why this policy is hammered into all of their heads, because they actually believe. And that's why they do things like cut family members out of their lives. That's why they lie, cheat, and steal to, investigators and to, and to anyone who is a non-Scientologist when it comes down to trying to find out the truth or trying to expose what they've done. They feel that if Scientology doesn't succeed, then the world is doomed, and their endless trillions of years ahead of time are, failures. And they really believe this. They really believe this. And I get it. Look, there's lots of religions that have wild beliefs about eternity as well. And, who's to say what can or can't happen? And that's like the crux of religion as a whole, right? Is what happens after this life. And so this is part of what they're talking about. And Hubbard says, this is a deadly serious activity, and you must follow what I say to a T, or your endless future lives depend on what you do here and now, kind of thing. So they take it very, very seriously. And again, they have to read and reread, and they have to study word for word in very detailed, like this is their scripture. They go down and read definitions of the words within this. They have to put this into clay, like do demonstrations in clay. You can look up some other time what they do in their learning style with clay demos. So you have to put, make little clay figurines and labels and do this whole setup and explain KSW1 in clay. And you have to do all these different things. And it just every single time hammer home, keeping Scientology working, that Hubbard is the only one who discovered it, and his word is the only one that matters, and you must follow it to a T because it is extremely important. And it is that level of fanaticism that has gotten them to this point as well, which they don't see, which is his words were so crazy in so many different areas, and the things that he demanded and the things that they have continued to do and demand of people and the parishioners and others, and the lies that they tell the world, and all the investigations, and all deaths and fraud and criminal activity and human trafficking, all these different things that they're knowingly guilty of, that they justify as part of their religious sanctity, that they can do so as because if they don't do it, then the world will perish forever. So that's sort of the basis of this. Now, it's interesting because you'll hear a few different things regarding, from Scientology, for example, and they even put this in some of their promo videos, like, well, you could be a Scientologist and a Christian. See, because we have, Reverend Hoo-ha, so-and-so, who is also a Scientologist. Isn't that cute? Well, that's actually not true, because from Keeping Scientology Working Series 1, when somebody enrolls, consider he or she has joined up for the duration of the universe. Never permit an open-minded approach. So you have to be all in on Hubbard. You can't be like Hubbard and Jesus. They actually don't allow that. There's later, like there's audio tape of Hubbard saying that Christ was he called Jesus Christ a pedophile, and there is no Christ, or going into all these different things so the absurdity that they say that you can be a Scientologist and anything else is a complete lie, and there's part of the proof right there. And later on it goes into into much more. But there's also the point about disconnection, and how they say, lots of religions, it's just a fundamental right of people to choose who they want to communicate with or not. And other religions do it too. They don't. You can talk about your disgust and hatred for the acts that Catholic priests have done to children, throughout the world, thousands of instances, and Catholics will actually agree with you. They'll go, yeah, that's horrible. That's terrible. It's disgusting. They deserve to rot in jail. Like, you can have that conversation with someone. You can't have that conversation with a Scientologist. They don't permit you to be critical of anything in Scientology or Scientologists, quote unquote, in good standing. And so there's this whole other thing where it labels what they call suppressive acts. And when they label someone a suppressive person, I am absolutely a suppressive person. I'm very proud of that. One of them, of the 160 something points of suppressive acts, is public disavowal of Scientology or Scientologists in good standing with Scientology organizations, or proposing, advising, or voting for legislation, ordinances, rules, or laws directed towards the suppression of Scientology. Public statements against Scientology or Scientologists. Testifying hostilely before state or public inquiries into Scientology to suppress it. So I'm guilty of all those minimally. writing anti-Scientology letters to the press, or giving anti-Scientology or anti-Scientologist data to the press. Another one I'm guilty of. So I'm guilty of a whole list of things, and I'm definitely a suppressive person in their eyes. I admit that. I'm super proud of that, so on and so forth. Well, Scientologists aren't allowed to be in contact with people who have been officially labeled as suppressive people. They actually call anyone who's an anti-Scientologist is a suppressive person. So even if you've never been a Scientologist and you speak out against it and hate it and whatever, or you just think it's ridiculous or whatever, all the things, then as being an anti-Scientologist, they view you as suppressive as well. So welcome to the club. Anyways, so suppressive people, Scientologists are not allowed to be around suppressive people. They're not allowed to be in contact with them at all. And they have people who are in contact with suppressive people, they call them potential trouble source, PTS. And PTS people cause trouble for Scientology, what they say, because the suppressives, the SPs in their environment cause them to make mistakes and create problems and that sort of thing. And that people like me who want to spread the word about the truth behind Narconon and Scientology and what they actually do versus what they say they do, they don't want that to be known. So they try and create this this bubble, and everybody inside the bubble who's in good standing with Scientology won't listen to or read or talk about anything anti-Scientology for fear of retaliation or for fear of being disconnected from their other friends and family. So within that, the handling for a PTS handling is to, they say, handle or disconnect as part of that. And if someone won't handle, meaning if they won't stop being an anti-Scientologist or speaking negatively about Scientology or Scientologists, then you must disconnect from them. However, they also say that it is, and this is the contradictory part as well, one of many, is that it is, disconnection is a self-directed action. Like somebody is choosing to do this on their own. Even though Scientology says this is policy, and Keeping Scientology Working says my word, Hubbard's word, is the only thing that matters. It's above and beyond anything else, and groups cannot reform, and groups can't be responsible for doing anything worth a shit, and going on from there. But they'll say that disconnection is a self-directed activity. That's crazy. When I was officially declared a suppressive person, and all the people that were forced to disconnect from me, believe me, the vast majority of them, either it was a robotic activity because they go, oh shit, of course we disconnect from suppressive people, and if Luke is now suppressive, then we're gonna disconnect from him. That it was like they just did it. They didn't wake up that morning and go, I think I'm gonna stop talking to Luke. That's not how it happened. It was policy directed. It wasn't a self-determined or self-directed, self-determined action at that point. They have a choice. You can either be connected to a suppressive person, or you can be a Scientologist, but you can't be in Scientology and connected to a suppressive person because you're not allowed to do anything. If that's the case, you are a PTS, you're a potential trouble source. So there you go. Keeping Scientology Working, Series 1. Hubbard is God. His word is sacred, and everybody else are idiots. And so you must follow what he says word for word, including lying to people to tell them that you can be a Scientologist and something else, but then it says you can't, including, disconnection is a self-determined activity, but it's not because they tell you have to do it. So those are kind of the speaking out of both sides of the mouth that are very common for them. And there's a lot more. I could probably talk forever on Keeping Scientology Working. By the way, Narconon developed, when they developed what they call their basic staff hat, which is a course that all Narconon staff members have to do, they took this same policy and changed the word Scientology to Narconon. So it was Keeping Narconon Working, Series 1. And it was sort of the same thing where they had to alter it and water it down, which is actually something that they say not to do. But the rest of it is word for word on, whatever Narconon says is the truth. So if they say that they have the only workable drug rehabilitation technology in the world, they actually believe it and they mean it. Yet there's a nugget coming up here too. I've word that more Narconon centers are shutting down in the U.S. And I'm pulling some more information on that, and some things will be revealed soon. But this is the kind of just blind allegiance, arrogance, stupidity, and it's unfortunate, because knowing what it's like to be in the middle of that and feeling like I want to be part of something good, I want to be part of doing this, having this greater purpose, and believing that I'm helping people, believing that I'm saving the planet, or whatever the goal is. Most Scientologists are extremely good people, well-meaning. They're caught up. They have created these sections or walls within their mental capacity to tune out things that would otherwise reveal the truth to them. And a lot of it stems from the repeated hammering of KSW1. So that's it for this particular episode of Narconon Scientology Chronicles. And until next time, I'm Lucas Catton. Take care.